UFC 328 is this weekend. This is probably my most anticipated card of the year, at least that's been announced so far. Thinking back the last couple months, this is definitely, in my opinion, the best card of the year so far, with the biggest main event on it as well. You got Khamzat Chimaev versus Sean Strickland in the main event. That fight is insane. We're going to get into a breakdown of that. Co-main event, Josh Van versus Tatsuro Taira. Another insane fight. Flyweight is so much fun right now. The feature fight on the card, Joaquin Buckley versus Sean Brady. Two welterweights coming off of losses that really need a big win just to get back on the right path and really show where they can go in this division. Not really a must win, but a little bit of a must win. And then you got Alexander Volkov and Waldo Cortez Acosta. Kicking off the main card, Jeremy Stephens and Bobby Green. But in my opinion, that's just a fun fight. No real stakes there. Everything else, though, pretty insane. So let me get this card pulled up, because even the prelims are pretty sick on this card. UFC 328 full card. Okay. Let's get the screen up. Yes, doesn't want to show my screen. I think that's what it is. Chrome. OBS likes Chrome. UFC 328 full card. I'm not editing that shitty. So. Let's see. Let me make sure this is actually up. Bet it is. Okay. Khamzat Chimaev versus Sean Strickland, your headlining bout on this card. Wow. That's interesting. I didn't realize that Khamzat, has he been doing that his last couple fights? He reps the UAE. He's Chechnyan. I thought he'd rep Chechnya, but besides the point. Khamzat Chimaev, Sean Strickland. Khamzat Chimaev, we know he won the belt against DDP. Before that, he was on a tear. Still on a tear, but he was on a finishing tear as well. All his fights were must-see. That DDP fight, bit of a stinker. I'm a hardcore fan who loves everything about the sport, so I was thoroughly entertained the whole time. But I don't have any problems with anyone who wants to say that that was boring and that should have had some stand-ups in it. The ref should have stood them up to the feet. Khamzat really didn't do any damage that whole fight, to be honest. Now, he established the crucifix position, I think damn near in every round. Maybe not the fifth, because that's the one round that DDP actually was able to do some shit. But yeah, just a kind of a stinker performance, which is crazy to say when you get multiple 10-8 rounds against a guy, but we know what Khamzat is capable of. And it felt like, because of the hype, because of the time off, and where he was at in his career, where we were kind of like, when is it going to happen? I think he went in there with more of the mindset just to get the win, get the victory, and not open up too much to be vulnerable and let DDP have any opportunity. Does that mean you're wrong for feeling like it was a shitty performance? No. I just think there was a little bit of that in there where it was, not even a little, I think a lot of it was, don't leave any openings. Get the victory, take him to the ground. He has nothing for you there. Don't play around on the feet. Don't open yourself up too much on the ground. Get a dominant position. If you can finish the fight from there, cool. If you can't, it is what it is. That's what I think happened back in August when he won the belt. Now, Sean Strickland. Sean Strickland. Where do we start with Sean Strickland? I guess we can start with that performance he had against Fluffy back in February. Super dominant win for him. I believe it was a third round finish. He hadn't fought since the second DDP fight, from what I remember. And in that second DDP fight, he got not going to say dominated, but it was a thorough and clear victory for DDP. And we were left wondering, where does Sean go from here? Because in their first fight, it was a split decision, and it was controversial. A lot of people thought Sean won. A lot of people thought DDP won. They ran it back, and Sean had a stinker of a performance. And if you remember, after that, Eric Nicksick, his head coach, came out and kind of turned the tables on him and, pretty much threw him under the bus and was like, I don't know what the fuck the guy was doing in the fight. You can only tell someone to do something so much, and for a whole year, we were pretty much wondering, where does Sean fit into the division? Is he still in the upper echelon? Is he kind of a one-hit wonder with that Izzy fight? And, was that really a great win, or was that an Izzy that was in a bit of a tailspin? But he looked more impressive than he ever has in that Fluffy fight, in my opinion. He stuck behind his jab, which he always does. Sean, I think, has the best jab in MMA right now. Stuck behind the jab, and rather than just throwing the jab and winning rounds, he was hurting Fluffy, and he was following it up with the big right hand, going to the body, doing everything you want Sean Strickland to do. We know Sean has the tools to finish guys and be dangerous, but it feels like sometimes he goes in fights and does not use everything in his arsenal and just coasts to the victory, and he does the whole, you guys are going to see me bleed out there. I'm going to fight for you guys. Red, white, and blue, America. He does that whole thing, and then he goes out there and just throws jabs and teeps and does nothing. But the Fluffy fight was exactly what I needed to see from him to even justify giving him a title shot. He is such a big name that I kind of knew if Sean goes in there and gets a very dominant victory, they would put him ahead of Imavov and make the Strickland Chimaev fight, which is exactly what happened. He really audited Fluffy in that fight and looked fantastic. Fluffy wasn't able to get anything going. The takedowns didn't work. He had nothing for him at range. Sean dominated that fight, cut and dry. Now, how do they match up head to head? I think the odds are a little wide for me because I do think Sean has more of a chance than what the odds reflect, being plus 425. But until we see Khamzat lose, I gotta heavily favor him because he just comes out like a bat out of hell, and we really have not been able to see anyone do much to him. Obviously, you have the Gilbert Burns fight, which was controversial. That was at 170. And you had the Kamaru Usman fight. The biggest thing with Khamzat has been his gas tank, for sure. What happens when he goes into those later rounds? We saw him in the later rounds against DDP, but we also saw a way more reserved Khamzat, who was trying to conserve himself and fight safe, in my opinion. Now, what happens in this emotionally fueled fight against Sean Strickland, who I think also has way better takedown defense than DDP? Sean is very good at getting back to his feet. Has he done it against someone as good as Khamzat? No. But as far as the people Khamzat has faced and matchup-wise, I think Strickland is probably the hardest matchup for him in the division on paper, just with his style. Very boxing-oriented. He throws the teep, but doesn't throw a ton of kicks. He fights upright, but Sean has very good hips. He's big, even for middleweight. I think he's the bigger guy. I wouldn't say he's the stronger guy. I would definitely say Khamzat's the stronger guy, but he's the bigger guy. And I just think this is going to present a much tougher challenge than DDP did, especially in hindsight. If you think Sean wins this fight, I think the course of action he takes to victory, survive that first round. That's step number one. That's step number one in the game plan to win this fight. You have to survive round number one. Khamzat comes out like a bat out of hell. just hang on for dear life. Don't, it's not even about winning the round. Just get out of the round. Once you get to round 2, start trying to put some stuff together if you can. When he takes you down, you have to pop back up. That'll also be a big definitive moment in the fight. You're going to get taken down. 100%. Khamzat's going to get you down. Can he keep you down? That's the difference. If Khamzat gets Sean on the ground and Sean can't pop back up, we know exactly how this fight is going to go within the first 5 minutes, probably. If he gets Sean down and Sean pops back up, you got to fight. That is, first and foremost, get that out of the way. It all depends on what happens in that first takedown attempt. He takes him down and he stays there, that's how the fight's going to go. If he takes him down and Sean can defend and pop back up at some point, you got to fight. Sean, to win this fight, this has to go into the later rounds. He's not finishing Khamzat in the first or second or even third round, in my opinion. I think if Sean wins this fight, it's by getting it to the later rounds, the 4th and the 5th, and by that point, I would assume he has to get a finish. This is going to be a dogfight, but I think it'll be similar. This isn't a perfect comparison, but like Islam and Volk, the first fight, or Islam and Dustin Poirier, where Sean's going to have moments of success, but we're going to know who won the round. And then it's going to come down to that 4th and 5th round where he's going to need a finish. And hopefully he will have drained enough of Khamzat's tank, maybe done enough work to the body, stuck behind that jab, done enough to wear Khamzat down a little bit, and then start to put things together later in that fight. That is how Sean Strickland wins, in my opinion. Khamzat Chimaev, it's no secret. Takes him down, gets control. Khamzat's ground and pound is not out of this world. That's something that I think he definitely needs to improve on. It was a lot better when he was fighting lower level competition. But as the competition's gotten higher, his ground and pound has not been to that level that we've seen before. But his submissions are great. Especially if he gets your back, if he gets the front headlock position and looks for that Darce. He has a lot of different submissions he can go to. So there's no digging too deep into Khamzat's game plan. It is get the fight on the ground and then go from there. Either he manages to just dominate Sean on the ground or he finds a submission in there somewhere. I don't think it's going to be a TKO or a knockout. I think if Khamzat wins this, it is by submission or decision. Either he gets Sean out of there in the first round, maybe the second with a submission, or this goes to a decision where probably similar to the DDP fight, a lot of control time, even though I do think Sean will be able to put up a greater resistance than DDP did. My pick for this fight. Oh, before I do that, I'm sure you guys have seen these two going back and forth. Khamzat talking about Sean's dad and calling Sean a girl, and Sean saying he'll kill Khamzat and his team if they jump him, and like literally threatening like life-ending things. This is a very strange buildup. I love this because we haven't had a rivalry and like a blood feud like this in a long time, but it's just a little uncomfortable and a little strange. And I don't think Sean is like super bothered by anything Khamzat says, because also when Khamzat's talking and he's saying stuff in English, it's like, how much can he really say? But I would imagine as good of a poker face as Khamzat can keep in interviews and stuff, and the smile he does and the brother, it's, like, I do think Khamzat wants to tear Sean Strickland's head off his body. And in the fight, I think he is going to come out 1,000 miles an hour. Hopefully we get to the fight. I don't think anything will happen leading up to the fight. I don't think they're going to let them get close enough where something can happen. I don't think their teams are going to see each other. But I saw Luke Thomas make this great point, and it is exactly where my brain went when they talked about the security and everything they're doing to make sure nothing happens. Khabib and Conor, perfect example. Nothing happened before the fight, but what are you going to do in the moments after the fight to prevent the bullshit from happening? Like, just from preventing the bomb dropping. You're going to secure the cage and make sure no one comes in, like going back through the tunnel, back to, backstage. Like, because that's when the fight's over is usually when things, like the fighters got it all out of their system. Even if they don't shake hands, it's like, it is what it is. I just don't think that's how it works with these Russians and Chechens and Dagestanis. Like, they're from a different part of the world where it's like, this isn't just all talk and sport to them when you make it personal like that. So I don't think when the fight ends, this is just magically over. So I'll be very interested to see what they do after the fight when whoever, whether it goes to a decision or someone gets finished. Primarily if Khamzat wins, what are they going to do to secure everything? That's my number one concern when it comes to all the security and this and that. That'll be very interesting. Now, let's get into who I think wins this fight. Listen, who do I want to win? I want Sean Strickland to win. I'll be upfront with you. I want Sean Strickland to win. I think Khamzat gets a submission in the first 2 rounds. That's just where my brain goes. We've seen it before. Robert Whittaker, Kevin Holland, especially the Robert Whittaker one, such a high-level guy, and that was still when Whittaker was Whittaker. My brain is leaning towards Khamzat by submission. I'll probably go, I think rear naked choke. Think he gets Sean's back. Sean tries to scramble to his feet, tries to get up, and Khamzat gets under his chin. I may be wrong. Be very happy if Sean wins this fight, just because it'll be, Sean is good for, he says crazy shit, but he has big fights, and that's good for the sport. So that's where my head, that's what I think. Yeah, Khamzat submission within the first 2 rounds. Co-main event, Joshua Van, Tatsuro Taira. For those of you that don't know, Tatsuro Taira, fantastic grappler. Very, very good wrestling, clinch wrestling. Has good stand-up as well, but his bread is buttered on the ground, and that is Joshua Van's biggest weak point that we've seen. He has decent takedown defense. It's not amazing, but it's been pretty good. But he does not like to be on the ground. We know Joshua Van's strengths. Insane combinations, very good speed, durable, does not stop throwing no matter what. We all remember the Brandon Royval fight. Fight of the year. Yeah, we know what Joshua Van is about. I think a lot of you probably don't know as much about Tatsuro Taira. As last fight, he subbed Brandon Moreno very quickly from what I remember too. Very, very, very good grappling. This is kind of like a classic striker versus grappler matchup. Not exactly, because it is, more modern game, but I've seen a lot of people, and you even see the odds. Tatsuro Taira is a -175. I think a lot of people don't believe in Joshua Van. They don't believe the hype train. After the Pantoja fight, I know a lot of us love Pantoja, and they weren't sold on that because, he got the belt from Pantoja injuring himself. I'm picking Joshua Van. I think he's 24 years old. Taira is 23 or maybe 25. This is the first title fight ever with 2 guys born in the 2000s, which is insane. Both of them are so young, so this stands for both of them. But Joshua Van, so far, we've seen him reach, a higher level. I think because of how young he is, he grows leaps and bounds in between fights. It's not his fault what happened to Pantoja, and we didn't get to see what he would do with what Pantoja would bring towards him and the grappling and in the clinch and the pressure. And I think, honestly, this is the perfect fight for him before that Pantoja rematch happens to see exactly where he is at with that stuff. And like I said, Tatsuro Taira is a minus 175, as you can see, and Joshua Van is a plus 145. Taira's also never fought anyone like Joshua Van. There isn't anyone like Joshua Van at flyweight. Non-stop combinations, non-stop pressure. He feels like he's invincible. He's 24 years old and is the world champion, so rightfully so. I'm going Joshua Van. I think he wins, and I'll take him to win with a finish. I think he gets a TKO probably in the later rounds. I'd say third or fourth. But again, I won't be surprised if Taira is able to get this in the clinch, get a body lock, get it to the ground. He has very, very good back control. For anyone that hasn't seen it, just watch the Brandon Moreno fight. Very, very good control on the ground. Super technical. This is going to be very interesting just to see where Joshua Van is at with his grappling. And for those of you that don't know, Joshua Van has lost in the UFC before he had the belt, obviously, but he is not invincible. We've seen him lose in the UFC. It was a TKO. It wasn't due to grappling, but there is still a lot for him to learn. And if he has the right mindset, I do think he has unlimited potential. And this is the perfect fight to see where he is at again before he fights Pantoja again. And if Tatsuro Taira wins, him and Pantoja will be an insane fight too, because I think he is the one guy in the division who might be able to match Pantoja in the grappling. And he's so young and learning so much as well. Just a great fight all around. And whoever wins this will see Pantoja, I think, at some point this year. So yeah, this is the one to keep your eye on. And I'm taking Joshua Van by TKO. And I'll say TKO in the fourth round. I said third or fourth, but I'll take fourth round. Heavyweight, we have Alexander Volkov versus Waldo Cortez Acosta. Alexander Volkov, 6'8", giant Russian. Waldo Cortez Acosta, newer to the UFC, number 4 in the division. This is going to be a typical heavyweight fight. This is going to be contested on the feet. I don't see Volkov taking it to the ground. And honestly, to me, Volkov is older. He's still very good, but he's slower. I'm going Waldo. I'll go decision. I don't think he knocks out Volkov, but I think he's just a faster, slicker guy at this point. And Volkov is slow. I think that's what it comes down to. He's a lot more plodding. Waldo has pretty good footwork for a heavyweight. He's athletic for a heavyweight, fast. I just think he wins this on points, and it's a pretty clear decision. Sean Brady versus Joaquin Buckley. Huge fight for both of these guys. Number 6 versus number 9. This is a coming or going fight. Who is going towards the title and who is not. And both of these guys are the anecdote to each other's style. Buckley, Tank, can you? Oh, look at me. What you doing? What you doing? Buckley, last fight, loses to Kamaru Usman by decision. Drops the first 4 rounds, like, easily. Kamaru gets the takedown in all those rounds. And again, just makes it look easy. Buckley comes alive in the 5th round, and it's like, where was this the whole fight? He stuffs Kamaru's takedowns, keeps it on the feet, lands some big shots on Kamaru, and wins that round. Sean Brady, his last matchup. Michael Morales. Sean Brady was about to get a title shot damn near. Takes a fight against Michael Morales. Michael Morales, big power, just knocks Sean Brady all around that octagon before finishing him. I think Sean Brady needs to... You know, it's tough because Michael Morales is so big and so powerful. It's like to say Sean needs to stick to wrestling. I think you're kind of undervaluing what happened in that fight. I don't know how many guys are going to be able to beat Michael Morales at welterweight, but Sean Brady, it should have been a lot more of a must-have to get that takedown in that fight. And I think he needs to fight like that from here on out. His grappling is fantastic. Against Joaquin Buckley, it is a must for you to get that takedown. Do not play around on the feet for too long. You don't need to. Get whatever you're doing on the feet needs to lead to that takedown. Your boxing on the feet does not need to lead to more combinations or more setting up different things on the feet. It needs to lead to getting the fight to the ground. For Joaquin Buckley, stuff the takedown and keep it on the feet. It's as simple as that. That is what this fight is going to come down to. Such a great fight because welterweight is so stacked and both of these guys are so freaking good. I would say Brady's been at a higher level for longer than Buckley has, but Buckley, especially with that Usman fight, I think people undervalued that because they thought Usman was washed, but we saw how great Usman still is. Again, like I said, these guys are the anecdote to each other's style. So, complete opposite game plans for both of them. And it'll be very interesting to see who can keep the fight on their terms and implement what they want. And I love Sean Brady. I also really like Joaquin Buckley. But my pick for this fight is going to be Joaquin Buckley. Yeah, I think Joaquin will be able to stuff the takedowns. I love the fact that as soon as he lost to Usman, he immediately went to try to build a relationship with Kamaru, and they've been training a lot together. He's trying to pick up everything he can to learn from that fight. And I just love that mentality that he has. And I think he's going to stuff the takedowns, and I don't think Brady takes a shot the best. I think Buckley ends up getting a finish probably in the second or third round. Bobby Green and Jeremy Stephens, super fun fight. Bobby Green, minus 340. If you're betting, I mean, shit. I don't think Bobby Green should be a minus 340. That's pretty big. Maybe you take something involving Jeremy Stephens. That'll just be a fun fight. I'll go Bobby Green, but that'll be fun. Atiba Gutierrez, I'm not breaking down this fight. Atiba will win by knockout. Joel Alvarez versus Yaroslav Amosov. If you don't know about Amosov, he is coming over from Bellator. He made his debut against Neil Magny, in which he dominated that fight. And I believe he got an Anaconda or a Darce, I can't remember, in the first round. He's a little bit older, but 29 wins and 1 loss. Who did he lost to Jason Jackson in Bellator after reigning over the division for a long time. Amosov, amazing grappler. Joel Alvarez, I'm surprised he hasn't got into the top of the division quicker. I know he was at lightweight for a little while, but Joel Alvarez, very good everywhere, but super dynamic striking. This one is going to be a very interesting fight. I'm going to take Yaroslav Amosov. I would go decision or submission. Probably lean decision, though. Joel Alvarez is very good, but yeah, Amosov, I think, is a different level, and I think he can make a run into the top of the welterweight division with the time that he has left. He is not the most known Bellator commodity compared to other guys that have come over, like Patchy Mix and Pitbull and Aaron Pico or Michael Chandler, but he might be the best one, to be honest. He is a little older, like I said, but definitely keep an eye on him and what he does. Grant Dawson and Mateusz Brownbeczki. Grant Dawson is a tough one because sometimes he looks really good and he beats the guys who he should beat, and he beats them dominantly, but then when he takes a step up in competition, he loses or doesn't look that great. I'm going to go with Brownbeczki. I think he is able to damage Grant Dawson and keep it on the feet. I'll even take him by finish. Jim Miller and Jared Gordon. Jim Miller's still getting after it. I think he's 44. It's a plus 250. I really like what Jim Miller does, man. He's older. He's not trying to make a title run. He's just sticking around, getting bonuses, getting more accolades, more numbers, and making good money fighting solid guys, You never hate on a Jim Miller fight. I'm not even gonna make a pick for that one. Just that's a fun fight. Kopylov and Marco Tulio. Tulio can thump. That's gonna be a striking matchup. I'll probably go Tulio by knockout or decision. Susurkayev. This is Hamzat's boy. He's a minus 700. This is the last fight I'm going to cover on here. He thinks he is way better than what he is. And he might be very good. But at least in his own mind right now, he thinks he's like champion level, #1 in the division. And he just hasn't shown that. And he's even been damaged and knocked down in some of his fights. But he still carries this like insane level of arrogance. I really just want to see him put together a dominant, solid performance because he has the technique and the skill, it seems like, but he kind of fights dumb and takes unnecessary punishment when he doesn't need to. And he could very well be as good as he thinks he is, but the attitude does not match the level that he's shown us so far. So I would like, if you want to act like that, show us how good you are. Make us believe it. He's probably going to win. He's a minus 700. But yeah, show us how good you are. Put it on par with how you act. That's my thing. He acts way greater than what he has shown. Those are my picks for the whole card, guys. Chimaev versus Strickland this Saturday. My most anticipated main event of the year so far. It's going to be a banger. I think they have the press conference today. Be very interesting to see what happens there. Let me know your guys' picks down below. That is all I got for you. I will see you in the next video.